Luca Nation, we're back with another episode. Cage, you're just a little bit too slow, but this one's going to be a treat. It's going to go all over the place. It might be a marathon, but I wanted to start out with a little bit of structure because if you guys don't know, we've had Cajun Cardboard join the Luca Nation network. We've never done this since we've had you on. Cajun Cardboard is the basketball card guy. Okay, basketball cards, that's his thing. Cage is football. So I wanted to come on here and first ask you, Cage, your 3 hot takes after a quarter of the NFL season is gone.
Sure.
3 hot takes for the remainder of the year. And then go to you, Brian, and your 3 hot takes for the upcoming NBA season. And then we'll go all over the place. It'll be chaos from there.
Let me first apologize to Brian. I need your address because it's not fair that the two of us come on here with hats and you don't have one. You have a great head of hair, but I feel like, that's not nice to you.
We're still in that probation period where I'm earning my stripes. I'm an employee of the network, and so I'm doing my best, and we'll see if I make the cut.
We'll get you one. So
then you send a hat,
3 hot takes. Andrew, you have built up a hell of a collection. You got some football cards in there. You got all kinds of – he's got one to send out to you. Look at that. He's got all kinds of fun stuff. You got, you like Jamar Chase now. You like Patty Mahomes. You got all these guys. Can you do me a favor? Can you show me – your collection of Donovan McNabb and Terrell Owens cards?
You are asking me?
Yeah, you. Can I see? I know you got to have a stack of Donovan McNabb cards, right? I mean, you're a Philly guy.
McNabb was a legend.
Right.
From 2000 through 2010, 9 NFC championships.
Yeah, I mean,
you don't bring up Donovan McNabb's name in vain.
Just an amazing. So, and here it is again for the listeners to see that 2 years and 2 months into the mission, you still confuse and conflate on-field performance with card performance. And yes, Donovan McNabb was a great, great player, and I bring him up for a reason here. No one collects him. And the last time the Eagles were 4-0, Donovan McNabb was the quarterback. He took that team to the Super Bowl that year. Lots of NFC championships. He took them to the Super Bowl that year. They lost Super Bowl 39, him and Terrell Owens. And while you're out there today looking at those Jalen Hurts cards, I tell you the story, the cautionary tale of Donovan McNabb, who did the same thing, started them off 4-0, and actually went as far as going to the Super Bowl. And you can buy Donovan McNabb's best cards now for pennies on the dollar against Jalen Hurts cards. And he has not been to all of those NFC Championship games that you've talked about. He hasn't done any of what Donovan. He's not the legend just yet, but all of his cards are more expensive than. So there's hot take number 1 is that
that's not a hot take.
Jalen Hurts' cards will ultimately one day be worth less than Donovan McNabb's cards. So because
there's more of them, and he's not going to be as good.
Fuck.
Correct. So be careful with it.
The odds of him replicating the career that Donovan McNabb had is very, 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 very small. It's not happening.
And I mean, listen, Donovan McNabb went to a good school. We know some people who graduate from Syracuse. They turn out lunatics. Yes, Alex, we're talking about you. And I mean, look, Carmelo. I mean, look, he has no job. I'm bleeding into the basketball section here now. I mean, he's not even on a team. But the point here is we're a quarter of the way through the season, and yes, you have the undefeated Eagles. Do not buy into that hype. There are some teams that look a lot better than they are. There are some teams that look a lot worse than they are. A couple of examples. The Giants are currently 3-1. I would not be shocked if they lost every game for the rest of the season and finished 3-14. So don't go buying into your cards now. And do me a favor, before you go out there and start searching for Saquon Barkley cards because he's had a couple of good weeks, do me a favor and look at what his cards have done for the last 2 years. He is injury prone. I know he's healthy and he's back finally now, and it's great stuff. But even the best running backs end up being collected by the guys from Card Ladder for pennies on the dollar. They are Christian McCaffrey, they are Todd Gurley, they are Edgerrin James, they are Marshall Faulk, they are all these guys. So before you dump your money,
catching strays.
Well, that's not a stray. They do a good job of it. I mean, but Todd Gurley, for those, no. I mean, the point is, they like those guys. It's great. They're smart because they're the ones buying for pennies on the dollar, all-time great running backs. And we're out here chasing Saquon Barkley, and there are people this week buying Khalil Herbert cards. Why? Like they're just taking.
Fun.
And we all have different definitions of fun. You think losing money is fun. This is why our show works. We have different views, right?
Well, it depends on your window. It depends on your window, Cage. I mean, I'm with you. The odds that you can name any NFL running back right now, the odds of their career being remotely anywhere close to what Marshall Faulk's was is not good. But there's little baby windows. There's little windows where you can get in and out. It's a hot potato game. As long as you know what game you're playing, I think you can get in, make your profit, and get out. So that's not my game. That's not my game, right?
Yeah, I was terrible at those games. Hot potato. I always had the thing when there was never a chair for me when the music stopped. This fat guy was always the one left standing. So
hot take what it looks like. I'll give you an example. You could roll with it. Josh Allen will perform worse this year than he did last year.
The Giants will lose every game for the rest of the season. I know what a
hot take. No one cares about the Giants.
That's legitimately like the hottest take.
He just called a 3-1 team losing 11 in a row. That's a hot take. I'm going to give you
this is, by the way, welcome
win the
to our
MVP.
show. He has ideas in his brain that we eventually get to, not by him asking them. He is the self-proclaimed Howard Cosell of hobby podcasting, but this is what happens. So that is a very hot take. Josh Allen, so why don't you say, I'd like a hot take about Josh Allen? How about this? A hot take about Patrick Mahomes. I'd be selling my Patrick Mahomes cards this week because he just beat Brady.
You want to sell everything right now.
Well, because yes, I do, but the reason for it is I can make an argument for probably 3 or 5 NFL quarterbacks winning the Super Bowl right now. All right. And with those kind of numbers, and they're all reasonable arguments, I am not as confident as you are that Patrick Mahomes is the one who's going to win the MVP and win the Super Bowl. Right? You could argue the MVP could potentially be Lamar Jackson. Yes, he lost this week. It was a come from behind win by Josh Allen, who could also win the MVP and the Super Bowl. You had both of those guys playing against each other this week. Too. You're right. He's putting up some ridiculous
Mahomes
numbers, video games numbers.
For youngest to 20,000 yards. I got it. I want to ask Brian something.
Youngest to 20,000 yards. Who cares?
Today, the Suns lost to the Australian teams. Overreaction. Big deal or not?
Yeah, not a big deal, man. I mean, those guys wanted to check back in the game. I mean, relax. I mean, the Suns have concerns already by the way they melted down, right, to end the season. That still would bring me a greater reaction than losing to whoever the hell they played.
The Adelaide 36ers.
Boston Main Claws or whatever the Adelaide 79ers or whatever
36ers.
Yeah.
36ers.
Yeah. So I wouldn't sweat that, man. The team shot like 55% from 3 or something nutso. I would chill on that. I think by the time the Suns realized, oh, shit, we're about to get embarrassed, I think it was probably too late. And then they weren't allowed to check back in. And then it was just, rotation guys. I'm not going to sweat that. Again, I'm not the biggest Suns fan in the world, but, yeah, I don't think that's a call.
I have a question for you two guys. You ready for this? Andrew thinks that Devin Booker's window is closed. Speaks around the Suns. He thinks he's done, and it's time to throw in the towel on Devin Booker. He says that he is not that guy. And you disagree. Tell me why you disagree.
Well, let's start from a position of transparency. I don't think I own a single Devin Booker card. I don't think I own one. So I just want to be clear about that.
I don't either. I don't think Andrew does.
Yeah, well, he can still have a take on it. But, Booker's on my fantasy basketball team, my dynasty fantasy team. Oh, there you go. It's a dual card.
What is that? Chronicles? What do you got there?
It's a 1 of 1.
Yeah, Chronicles.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not ready to say that the kid's 25 years old, man. I mean, he's 25 years old. I mean, now guys' primes go to 32, 33. I mean, we've seen it, not just LeBron. Other dudes' prime years are like 32, 33. We're seeing it with DeRozan. Not that he's that guy either, but I'd chill on that Booker. He was only a couple games away from being a finals MVP. And then there's a lot of guys, Tatum, Doncic, a lot of guys are shooting for that finals MVP, and Booker got as close as any of the rest of them.
It's going into year 8. It's going into year 8. And
the question's not what year is he going into, it's how old's the dude.
I didn't say
how many of those years were spent on a team that's NBA relevant? 2?
What do you mean? NBA relevant. They're all relevant.
He's going into year 8, and he's played 5 years on one of the worst teams in the NBA. So, I mean, what was he supposed to do? I mean, put up numbers. The dude put up 70, when he was 20 years and 250 days old. Second youngest player ever to put up 50. Cage, who was number 1? Youngest player ever to put up 50 points in an NBA game.
I don't like this. You guys are talking over each other. I'll just decide the debate here. I wouldn't give up on him because
I'm not.
Some NBA players have special powers. LeBron has the ability to play like a 30-year-old with a 50-year-old's hairline. Luka has the ability to, look out of shape but be in great shape. James Harden has the ability to always be out of shape. Steph Curry can hit a shot from anywhere in the world. Devin Booker, we learned, can turn invisible, as he did in the playoffs when it mattered. So I would not give up on a guy with a superpower like that.
Yeah.
What else you got for us, Andrew?
Yeah.
That was well done, Cage. We both got a shout out from Dr. Beckett. That was kind of
Not
cool.
me. You two did, not me. He said, "Oh, that fat guy who works with Andrew." Okay, good.
All right. What else I got is I got to give praise to Slab Stocks today. So you said that I like losing money, but Slab Stocks did an amazing graphic. On one hand was HOLLONS cards are up almost 40%. On the other side are my Trout cards down almost 30%. And I feel like that's the pot calling the kettle black. I've been talking about HOLLONS for a long time. He's up 40%. Mike Trout down 30%. Any thoughts on that?
I'm imagining you're going to ask me.
Yes.
I mean, this is HOLLONS' biggest cheerleader here. But to me, it's a funny tie into the first 5 minutes of the episode. You could argue that baseball is not where people are putting their money now, right? Especially with, the season ending in 2 days. And Trout not being, playing meaningful ball, although he has 3 games to hit a 40th home run, second place in the American League to Aaron Judge. So I would say, even though he missed 30 games this season, he actually turned in one hell of a season. But HOLLONS soccer, I mean, we all know he's going to go play in the World Cup, so he's going to be completely relevant. Everyone should be, oh, wait a second, he's not. Okay, so more importantly, it makes the point, I believe, that people are chasing the shiny new bullshit. And this guy is playing well today. And he's on pace for 187 Premier League goals, which, yes, I can name 2 teams. They both start with Manchester in that league. I can't name any other teams in that league except for Bayern and Barca and the French team. And no, I don't know. The leagues are all different. They're all crazy. Team. I have no idea. It confuses the shit out of me. But people are buying HOLLONS now because, he's scoring some goals and he is the story today. Just
who is it okay to buy now to hold long term? I know you like to think of the short term window, and I'm with you, man. It may be a great time to sell HOLLONS right now, or it may be a great time to sell HOLLONS as he approaches breaking.
Ryan, it's a great question.
Sell the hype avenues, but who is it who in baseball right now would you
buy
a
great question.
10-year-old? For a 10-year-old. Because what we're talking about these short windows on this show.
I wouldn't buy anyone playing right now. Yes, if I'm being honest with the listeners,
many cards,
there's not a single person that I would buy. Now, are you buying anyone to hold for 10 years whose middle name is not Jeffrey?
Yeah, Giannis.
Giannis. You're buying Giannis to hold for 10 years.
I mean, I'm going to hold it indefinitely. I call it Cajun eternity. I don't know.
In 10 years, Giannis is going to be somewhere with Tim Duncan hiding from the world, and you're going to want his cards?
I'm going to have them, for better or worse. I'm going to have those suckers.
So Giannis, I like Giannis. And so let's give a comparison, right? So somebody young in baseball, I'd say Juan Soto. And I compare him to Giannis because Soto actually has a championship, right? And if you're going to go in football, if you need me to name somebody, Mahomes is probably the closest one, but I'm not buying him based on this season's run-up. I'm buying him because he already won an MVP, he already won a championship. Basketball, it's difficult with the younger guys because, I mean, look, I don't know anybody out there young who's like, stud talent who's won a championship recently that I would put in that basket. Guys have gotten close. Tatum got close last year. Giannis would be the one that actually has that, although, I mean, it's his 10th, 11th season now. So I don't know if you consider him young.
Counting seasons. You got to count how many seasons are left to add to that legacy. How much meat is left on the bone? How much tread's left on the tire?
Yeah, and when he comes out and says, "Hey, I want to disappear. I want to fade to Bolivian," that makes me scared.
Bolivia.
Do you know who said that? Do you know who quote that is?
No.
That was Mike Tyson.
Oh,
Mike Tyson said he wants to fade to Bolivian.
Yeah, that's funny. Tyson has got an interesting dichotomy between sometimes he uses vocabulary words that 99% of the world don't know, and then sometimes he misuses a word that, my 9-year-old knows how to use. So Tyson's always, peculiar and unpredictable.
It's a valid question, man. I will tell you, when a couple years ago, before the crazy run up, I was loving buying young players. I was loving buying players to try to. I mean, Klay Thompson was somebody that I was buying a couple years in. Try to buy his rookie cards, and but the prices went up a lot, and the supply went up a lot. I was buying Bradley Beal for a little while. Remember that, Andrew? We both like Bradley Beal's game, but the thing is, with the run up in prices, when you compare them to, the prices of the all-time greats, you've all seen them. Anybody listening to this has seen this stuff. Mac, I think it was Mac Jones. There was a post today. Mac Jones has now 1,001 one-of-one rookie cards. 1,001 one-of-one rookie cards. Somebody did a post that, not Mahomes, because Mahomes cards are crazy, but the most expensive Trevor Lawrence card that has sold, and there hasn't been one of these $1.7 million Burrow Herbert. The most expensive Trevor Lawrence is more than the most expensive Peyton Manning, Dan Marino, Montana combined. You know what I mean? So that makes it harder for me because, as I tell Andrew, and you can tell me what you think about this, but I tell Andrew all the time, you could be right about the player. You could even pick someone who's going to go out there and win the MVP and maybe have a championship, not buy the right card, not buy it at the right time, you name it. So it's tough.
Look, I'm almost always with you on this because, when you talk about Beal and Booker, I think Mitch Richmond, Reggie Miller, not a big collector base, but there's a big difference. The one thing you got to make a distinction is that these young guys are playing in an era where the demand for cards, generally speaking, is significantly higher. The origin, their roots are more well-founded. They're broader. It's different. Nobody wanted Mitch Richmond cards even back then.
Yeah. I remember getting a Mitch Richmond sharpshooter insert and being mad that I got him. And I'm like, no, anyone else.
Yeah, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. Yeah. Get him out of here. Right. Hey, if you can make the Hall of Fame playing in Sacramento, you're a badass dude. Let me tell you that.
It's true.
The thing about Cage that a lot of people don't realize, because they see this jokester, this New Yorker, fast-speaking, movie quotes, he's very risk-averse. He's risk averse.
Well, he just said there's not any athlete in the world right now that he wants 10 years from now.
He doesn't like the risk.
Because I get it. Yeah.
And second, to add to that, he wants to be first. So you have this risk averse, want to discover guy. He once told me, Andrew, what confuses people about you is they can't put you in a box. I'll say that right back at you because in the hobby, I think why you're so beloved and so confusing to people, where now breakers have this little riff spit spat. They can't put you in the box. They can't figure you out. Here you are, this long-term collector, but this big, loud talking. It's interesting to see.
It'd be a big box. It'd be a large box. That's the thing. No, but I mean, really, guys, you're right. I mean, I like being first. We all like to be first, right? You all like to be the person who picked that guy. You like to be able to, I was on HOLLONS before anybody else was. Oh, come on, blah, blah, blah. Everybody wants to be first. And you also don't want to
I wasn't right about HOLLONS. I caught the trend with HOLLONS. HOLLONS being right was 2019.
So you're the only person in the world who wants to be wrong. Congratulations. Why are you fighting with me on a statement of everybody wants to be right? I don't know, but this is your
want to be first.
You want to be first. I mean, you don't want to be first. You want to be second. You like being second.
If
you ain't first, you last. I mean,
I like catching trends. I don't have the courage to be first.
So it was a lot easier to collect. It was a lot easier to find something that didn't have the price discovery yet a couple years ago. It just was a different game, and now finding something is being confused with a pumpy dumpy. You know what I mean? It's not just find it. It's, hey, Disney Lorcana. That could be a cool thing, right? That could be cool cards. Disney's bringing out TCG. But so instead, what you see is you got people buying the one from the D23 convention, the set, grading them, being the first ones to grade them and selling them. And who knows if these sales actually happen. But these cards are not rare. They're thousands of dollar completed sales on them. And you wind up just getting the same repetitive trend over and over again, where even if you're first, it's part of this grand design where you have to know the prices will not sustain. We've been through this enough times. You saw what Mac Jones Donruss base card sold for, and what does it sell for now? It's not. You can't even sell it in a dollar box. So I mean, enough times going through the cycle here. I hope that maybe it changes, and maybe there is a way to buy guys low and watch them go up based on performance on field, on court. Because right now,
I think there
everyone's
is.
okay.
But you can't. You got to go dumpster diving, cellar dweller type stuff. That's what I've been doing. I did it with Anthony Simons. I've got 4 guys on my list that 85% of the people that are watching this are never even going to have heard of, that I think could turn into NBA All-Stars. I might be wrong, but you don't have to be right on half of them. You only got to be right on like 1 out of 8 because their price point's so low. And now, all you've got to do is you got to adjust the cards you're buying, right? And so back in 2020, 2021, we were buying the cards that we thought the next investor in line would pay money for, 2 months, 3 months later, sometimes 2 days, sometimes 2 weeks, whatever, right? Now I'm trying to find the cards that a set collector would want. I mean, I'm investing in cards I think a set collector will one day want to collect. I'm investing in cards that I think a player collector will one day want to collect. And so it's definitely a different game.
That's not being first. I mean, it's being first in a different way.
It is. You're trying to beat the wave, right? You don't want to ride the wave. You want to find the next one. But, it's different because the types of cards we're buying are just so drastically different. I know y'all talk about it ad nauseum, and everybody watching knows this, but I think there are moves to be made on certain types of cards and certain types of players. It's just not the same as it was in 2020. And yes, it is harder, but it's there because I'm doing it. And I know other people that are doing it. It's working. It's just different. And the margins are drastically different, right? You can be profitable. You just can't throw darts, like you were in 2020 and win everything.
For the listeners, let's peel the layers of that back a little bit, right? Because there are a lot of people saying, okay, he's got a winning formula. I'm not asking you to give away any secrets. I mean, listen, the Colonel's got to have his blend of herbs and spices, right? You can keep it to yourself, no problem. But it's not that you're able to find that NBA All-Star who's maybe the 3rd or 4th guy on the team. Like, Herb Jones would have been one of those guys, right? Where a couple years ago, you could stockpile his stuff for pennies. But now people are paying, basically NBA All-Star, All-Pro prices for him already, just in case. And he has no handle.
He's just not a guy. He's not the guy.
He has no handle at all.
Don't give up on him. He has like 25 seasons left.
Right.
He does. He has 25 seasons of being a guy that stands in the corner and does this. I'm open, and you're open for
pretty
a reason.
much.
He's like 3 and D. That's great. That's not going to pay the bills. You want the next lead guard. You want the next Harden. Doncic is a stretch, but like you want that next guy. I mean, you want the next guy that's the lead guard, the guy you hand the ball to and say, go win me a title, go win me a playoff series. You want that next dude. Those guys are out there. Giannis has won. Giannis was the ultimate rags to riches. Giannis was nobody, nobody. And he wasn't, and it didn't matter that it was 2013. There might be a Giannis in 2021. And I might have to take 10 swings at it to hit the next Giannis. But if you do, it's going to far outweigh the price that you paid on the 9 that you missed on.
It used to be. I don't think that's the case anymore. I think that, they're.
It just depends. Cage, I mean, go look at – I'm buying National Treasures RPAs of a prospect that I think –
that's a different story.
Could be an all-star player, but I'm buying it for $45, $50.
Yeah.
True RPAs, to 2020.
He's not going to tell you.
Your mama, that too. No, we're not doing this.
Remember that whole thing?
I'm not giving plays to people out here.
MTV made a show about Yo Mama jokes. You remember that? How popular that became? MTV made a Yo Mama joke show. I remember for like 2 years straight. Like
that was
high school.
That was called Yo Raps. Yo MTV.
Yo MTV Raps.
You're thinking of MTV. Yo MTV Raps. Not Yo
Mama Raps.
You're not. There's no NTRPAs for $50.
Yes, 100%. I've got
that. Do you know what
that's my arena?
He just called you a liar. I'm going to go on mute, and you tell him what happens when people call you a liar down south.
There are no NTRPAs of basketball guys for $50. Dude, on PWCC Weekly, my criteria is $5 to $100, and I scour everything from basketball. Okay. And I've not seen one single NTRPA for $50.
Say it's $90. What does it matter? When
aren't any NTRPAs
like the real. Well, the
They're
next great one's going to sell
1,000.
for $18,000. Who cares if it's 80 or 50? Who gives a damn? The point is, it's less than 100, less than 200 for God's sakes.
Not a Simons.
No, of course I'm talking about dumpster. I'm talking about off the radar.
No.
I'm talking about Anthony Simons 2 years ago.
He's talking about BJ Boston.
I mean, dude, Brandon Boston is an option. Brandon Boston Jr. is a legitimate player. They got guys out there like that, man. He's a legitimate player.
I don't know anything about basketball. I'm just
for all you guys that didn't know, actually, Cation played at a competitive level. I found that out this weekend.
Played what?
Basketball, competitive.
Did
level.
you?
Yeah, remember we talked the other day. And your
I thought you said Cage. I was like, I thought you were talking about Cage. I was like, well, he don't know shit about basketball to have played at a high level. I was like, what the?
And your co-host of some of the NBA stuff, Picks, conference leader in threes, played with Kobe. So this guy has some pedigree. You could trust what he says. That was the point of that.
Well,
you take a compliment.
I win some, I lose some. Whatever. It is what it is.
There's a cool chart we looked at yesterday. So I'll ask you where you think we are on this. So understanding like the emotional, the psychology of a market's like, have you seen this before, Brad?
Yeah, and Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory. What in the hell did you just put on the screen? Oh my gosh. Holy cow. That's too much. You turn it off. Stop the record button. That's too much.
This is too much for you. I can't explain it. Cage
Go back. I'll try to digest.
You know what's funny is that's like it's like stock, market timing. It's like crypto stuff. Like you see those things on Twitter all the time with people who are like, doing like stock plays or like the overall market or other assets. It's basically like, your thought process, right? You're up, you're down, the whole deal. And it's actually funny that Brian kind of looks at that and laughs because he doesn't have the same type of buying process that everybody else does. He doesn't go through a panic situation because you know what's funny? One of the better things you tell the listeners is you don't make your money on your exit. You make it on where you enter, right? Your entrance is where you make your money. This guy's all about the entrance. I mean, think of what he's telling you. It's I'm buying cards that I think people are going to ultimately want for building sets, which is why the 86 Fleer Kareem sticker, which doesn't jump out and check a lot of boxes for people like, wow, that's not a Kareem. I mean, when Brian bought, he wasn't even playing anymore. It's not a rookie. It's a sticker, but you look at the pop on it, you look at it and you realize, okay, that 86 Fleer set is one of these iconic sets that people are going to want to build. And all of a sudden, there's only, a dozen, 24 or so. There's, 15 now, right? So of that, shit, it's going to set record prices. It's buying it, it's doing the research when you get in. And then you don't have to go through the same cycle that the rest of the ultra-modern world is going through with panic and despair and agony and defeat. You're just sitting pretty, realizing that you're resting on the research that you put in. It's different cycles.
How fun it is to talk about cards. We're talking about cards right now in the middle of a freaking bloodbath, and I'm having a blast. I've never had as much fun talking about cards, buying cards, collecting cards, cleaning cards over here off camera, sending them to PSA.
What are you doing to clean cards?
Huh?
What are you doing to clean the cards?
I have little Cajun minions that do it, so I can't share my special Cajun recipe.
Are you using that lotion?
It's using like a 16% gem rate, so it's not like anybody wants my theory about how to clean cards. I don't put any substances on it. I'm not like the Gaylord Perry of card cleaning.
You put snot. You put snot on the ball. Sometimes I'll just rub some jalapeno in my nose. You put snot. Andrew, you know what that's from?
Sandlot.
No. Close, though. Sure. It's a major league.
Why do you think, Brian, that you don't have panic in these cycles when everyone else is struggling or worried about their investments? Why do you think you're so?
Because I don't spend the money that I need to feed my kids or educate my kids or pay my rent or pay my car note. If I have
what advice would you have to people who entered the hobby 2 years ago that went all in?
Get out!
All their chips in it,
Yeah, man, I talk about that all the time. Before we linked up, I talked about it. It's like I'm not the guy that's like, I told you so. I told you so. I want all those people to stay in because I'm having so much fun. All these people that came in first quarter 2021 and they came in guns blazing. I had so many people come up to me in Baton Rouge, Louisiana and say, all right, I heard this sold for this. I want in. Here, take my no bullshit. Take my $100,000, take $500,000, go buy me whatever you think. And I'm like, first of all, no, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm not ever going to play with anybody else's money. I'll take my risk with my own money, but I'm not taking any risk with your money. And then the other thing was, I was like, I don't know if it's a great time to get in right now because cards are going up so much so fast. It just worried me. And so people just didn't take that advice. And people came in 2021, first quarter, even midway through 2021. I don't know how you come back from a punch like that, man. I don't know.
You know,
I
Brian,
don't know. They're so late. It's crest of the wave, and now here we are down here in the sewer. I don't know, man.
he's a surfer.
I hope they stay because those are good people. They're no different than us. They just happen to be distracted, and they were, in crypto world or, Beanie Baby world or whatever. They were doing something else, right, with their money, and then they just wanted to be part of what we love and what we were having so much fun doing and talking about. And they didn't do anything wrong. It was just.
I don't know if Brian surfs, but he told me this. He said to me once, he goes, listen, the key to the success in the hobby, if they're telling the folks who have lost money, is it's start the wave. Don't ride the wave. Find something that you love, find something that you're buying, and it's, maybe you read something about it. Maybe you heard one person talk about it. But if you're now jumping in on something that the masses are already talking about, the masses are already buying, and you're riding that wave, right? Mm-hmm. Chances are that wave is going to crash on you. You got a better chance of riding it up when you're the one who's starting that wave. And I mean, it's a fun way of doing it, right? You sprinkle in a little of that with Andrew, you could probably come up with over the last 2 years, several examples of that. Like if you were really an F1 fan and you noticed that F1 cards were coming in, we've had people who were on here and you bought F1 cards when they were first being solicited. They first came out and you were buying them to open them and buy them at the price before anybody ran up the price of boxes and cases. You probably have yourself a good F1 collection now because you knew ahead of time that it was coming out. We talked to Bro Namath, right? Who knows what anime cards are coming out before they come out and buys them pre-order before they mark up all craziness on those things, right? If you are starting the wave, you're a fan of something, you know about it ahead of time. Marvel movies. Like I remember I was buying those Marvel boxes, $150, $200, and then they were thousands. So I think it goes back to you want to be first. You want to be, at the beginning of the wave. You should be starting the wave, not getting crashed on by the wave. So,
I think now's the best time to buy. And I'll say that for the cards that I've been looking at. I'll tell you, yesterday I got a Steph Curry PSA 9 rookie game worn patch for $250. So I know I don't play in your guys' arena. I can't believe you guys don't own more one-of-ones. Based on your bankroll, your guy's kind of boring.
How do you know what one-on-ones Cage and I have? Because first of all, Mattingly doesn't have any one-on-ones, and Mark McGuire don't have any one-on-ones. That's one reason why Cage does it. But how do you know I don't have one-on-ones?
Because I do know that.
I have two one-on-ones.
Which ones?
I have a Luke Kuechly from Elite that Ian and I pulled out of a pack, and we got a graded SGC 10. And I got a Chris Dukas. That's a great name. Black Select. 1-of-1 from UFC is a rookie. We got that in a pack, but SGC only gave me a 9.5 on that one. So those are Ian's, pulled 1-of-1s out of packs, and those are his. We have 2 of them. I can go get them if you want. So I have some 1-of-1s, man.
I know because I was testing you yesterday, Brian, and you didn't even realize. There was a gorgeous Jokic Black 1-of-1 on the PWCC auction.
You failed.
And I was
tested you.
It was a Jokic flashback autograph prism.
Brian, do you get creative with your pricing? Do you like to tell stories about your cards and stuff like that? So he and I, we don't have to be creative about our cards. We don't have to go out there and spin a yarn about how that Steph Curry we bought, actually the jersey chunk that's in there was from the game where Steph met his wife. And, there's an awesome story. And Darren Ravel and Adam Lefko were actually at that game together. They kept their ticket stubs. I don't need to do that.
Today.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't have. So
whenever Cage has auctions ending on a Sunday, it's rare form on a Monday.
The cards you're talking about are cards you have to storytell about. And I'll ask you. So you think it's a good time to buy? You may very well be right because you're buying now with what window for selling your cards? When are you going to sell those Steph cards?
I don't think you can make a blanket statement that it's a good time to buy. I don't think you can say stuff like that.
Cards in my arena. In the cards in my arena.
Okay,
$1,000 mark.
Well, one thing we know this in your arena, in Cage's arena, in my arena, it's a better time to buy today than it has been every preceding day going back 18 months. We know that. We know it's getting better every day, but we could look back 6 months from now and say, it's the best time to buy, and we're 6 months away from the very bottom of the, of the swell.
What do you think the average bankroll is of someone in the hobby? I saw this.
That's a great question. I asked that question the other day. That's a great question. I
including their
average
size.
bankroll, like average value of their collection.
Yeah. Average value of their collection is a better way to word that.
Man, that's a great question. Average, God, dog, that's tough, man. You know, because the people we talk to and that communicate with us love it so much. They've obviously put probably more than a healthy amount of money into the hobby, myself included, hand raised.
You guys skew.
So the chart for it's going to be value of collection on one axis, and it's going to be age on the other axis. It's going to look like a two-humped camel. Age 15 to 25, huge value collection. 25 to 35, dip value collection. 35 and over.
Why do you find subtle ways to take shots at me?
That's not a shot. No, I'm
threw your ass in the valley. He put us on the mountain.
You're in the valley. And the children, the kids are the ones who are stealing your cards.
Moved that any direction. You could have said to 21 and 31 begins the new.
No, while you're out there,
dead in the middle of the hump.
While you're out there spending $200 on Steph Curry cards, the 15 and 18-year-old kids are out there buying the cards you really want.
The Steph Curry NTs.
Andrew's part of the forgotten generation.
Andrew's in the Camel's, the Camel's Valley.
I think people understand what I talk about more than what they do because they're working with daddy's money and I'm working with.
You're probably
I got to make it myself.
That's probably true.
You're probably.
I think the kids in the hobby thing is overboard. I think a lot of that crap is tongue in cheek. I hear Chris talk about it.
It is.
I think a lot of that's tongue in cheek. I don't think there's a lot of kids out there with 6-figure collections. They all
have 7-figure dads. That's what Andrew's trying to say. But Andrew, listen, here's the
I think 5,000 is the number that comes to my mind.
Really, a $5,000 is most people's PC. So let me ask you, Andrew, because I'll let you run with this. You ready? It's got to be more than that. You are buying
with 10 million.
You're buying those cards.
It'll raise it
because you still want to color up. Let's talk about that.
Sure.
Talk about how that is still something you think you can do. And while Brian won't give his secret Cajun spices, it's just Old Bay, guys. There's nothing fancy. There's a little cayenne pepper in it. What's your secret? What's your secret sauce? You're gonna buy stuff, and you're gonna, not the Kurtz card CAD that you use. I'm talking about.
It's actually funny. I think of it as like fractional buying. If you study the market well enough, I can't afford a Curry NT. But I do understand the Curry market. I've been watching it for 3-4 months, and I'm able to see what are the value buys. And I do think that's a way of buying into the Curry market at a piece by getting the smart buy. So I think of it as like fractionalizing. That's how I think about it. And then if I could buy into the right stuff at 30, 40, 50% cheaper than I think that card should be. And by the way, when PWCC, when I added to my vault, I was right. They insured it for $500 because it's rookie. With a game-worn patch. That's a cool card.
I don't know how they do that. That may just be what the person before you bought it for.
My hunch is like, hey, a Curry rookie card with his game-worn patch is not something you see very often. At the same time, for the same exact price, you'll get like a gold wave insert from 2019 in a PSA 10 that sells for more. So I'm like, this is good value. And I think of it as like buying into the fractional market. I did that with Mahomes. I couldn't afford a big Mahomes, so I bought a Mahomes 1 of 1.
Did you guys get the news scroll? HOLLONS out for the next 3 matches. Ankle injury?
No, he's not. No, he's not, dude. You're such an asshole.
He does that.
Look at you guys. Look at you guys.
I got a lemon from the Aussies down south when I said Holland is better than Mbappe.
He doesn't even have ankles. His body is made of titanium. You can't roll an ankle.
He's Wolverine.
Forget about the goal scoring. I sent Cajun Cardboard like he's been groomed to be a superstar. The pass that he made to Foden is not someone that's 6'4", 6'5" ever has been.
Not normal. No striker makes that pass. That's not normal, man.
And then fit that into a system where he is in this generation's. This is the best coach, Guardiola. He knows all the buttons, so he's brilliant, man. And we put our money where our mouth is. We've been talking about Holland for quite a.
God, I wish I bought into him early. I just, what kept me, Cage, you're talking about catching the next wave, and I know you joke about soccer, but this has been really fun for me. I don't know a damn thing about soccer products. I know a pretty good bit about soccer. I'm not the most knowledgeable, but I'm a soccer dad. I'm a soccer family. I like soccer. I follow soccer, but I don't know a damn thing about the products. So I started with an extremely narrow focus, right? I knew the player I wanted. I wanted to invest in an active player. So I started investing in Holland, but I had no idea what to buy. And so I spent probably 8 to 10 hours. Asked a couple of really smart soccer guys out there what they thought, which one was the one, and then I just bought 7 of them. Because it's the one thing I knew. Instead of just spreading my money around, color this, purple, green, elephant nuts, and all this other different colors, just give me the one card that I know matters. I know what the pop is. I know what the historical pricing data is. I'm going to master this one. And if he goes up, I think this card will go up. And so I've kind of kept a very, very, very narrow lane in soccer right now. At some point, I will expand it, but it takes time. And there's no way to replace man hours. You have to put the hours in, the diligent research. You have to understand the products, not just identify the player. You make a great point. It's always that way. It's always been that way.
And it's difficult with soccer because a basketball guy coming in might go for the product that has beam teams in it because you like beam teams.
That's right.
And that's not going to be the product that a soccer person
nobody's
wants.
going to give a shit about beam teams in soccer, right?
And then you layer in another thing, which is different leagues. So which HOLLON card? Is it the Bundesliga Chrome? Is it the Topps Chrome? Is it a finest release that came out after? Believe it or not, I know I don't know basketball or soccer, but I would say HOLLON's best rookie is the Bundesliga Chrome, and I would say Kamavinga's is the finest because that was the first one that came out, and that was the one that people chased.
It is weird how there's no rhyme or reason to that, and then it also concerns me when you start talking about their domestic, their team jerseys, their international jerseys. I just don't know enough about it, and so I've kind of just been on the sideline observing, and I'm just watching other intelligent people talk about it. I'll watch a video here and there. I'll follow some of the right people on Instagram. Rodman's a good one. Rodman PC is kind of transitioned from the Jordan world into the soccer world, and he collects preposterous, high-end, gold, messy stuff. But I bounce ideas off him, and he's been very considerate with his time. You'll find that people in the soccer world are very generous with their time when somebody comes in and shows a genuine interest in getting into that, that factor of the market. And so I've had a great experience with that. I had the same experience with the Jordan market when I transitioned from, normal collector person to this weird Jordan world where I dove in head first. The response from true Jordan collectors and how receptive they were to somebody who's new asking dumb questions was amazing. They were incredibly patient and still are. I mean, there's still, there's whale Jordan collectors out there that still educate me on a daily basis, the way we educate Andrew every day when we talk about cars.
Were you as welcome to the graded XXX movie community?
Yes. I haven't graded any of mine yet because they're so worn and so well loved that they would all grade very low.
Horrible grade. Right. Just authenticate it.
They would just be terrible. I mean, the grading and I mean, some of them have even been altered.
Well, we don't want to talk about the patches.
So, you don't want to mess with those.
Any final words from Cage? Any final words from Cage?
Get this man a hat.
Give me a hat, man.
It's in or out. Love you, Luca Nation.
That's another episode. Hey, I need a sleeveless Luca Tiger Bronze shirt so I can do my shows.
He's got to show off the guns.
Don't ask what Luca Nation can do for you. Ask what you can do for Luca Nation.
So thank you all for listening to another episode of Lucas, Tigers, and Bronzo My. I wanted to tell you about a new service that we have starting as of today, and I'm really, really excited to bring it to you guys. So as a part of our partnership with SGC, we got 50 free submissions every single month, and many of you have taken advantage of that. And it's amazing that we could have the opportunity to 650 episodes, 675 episodes in, to go ahead and give back to our community. As people were sending those cards in, they asked, can we send 5, 10, 20 more cards to you guys? We'll pay for it, but we wanted them graded with SGC. You guys know SGC is turning cards around in 13 to 14 business days, have incredible customer service, and their secondary market values are going up day after day after day. And that's exciting for the hobby and exciting for the grading landscape. So we didn't want to just rush into it. We wanted to do it right. And what we did was I relocated here to Boca Raton, Florida. I opened up a P.O. box maybe 5 minutes away from SGC, and I will be hand delivering and hand picking up the cards. So you don't have to worry about anyone else touching your cards. It will be me, and I will update you every step of the way. So here's how it's going to work. I'm going to personally pick up the cards from a P.O. box, prep them, new card saver, new penny sleeve, and deliver them to SGC every single Tuesday. Why Tuesday? Well, It lets the stragglers over the weekend come back through on Monday and gives me a day to prep, and it basically gives SGC the entire week to work on grading those cards. Once your cards pop, only then at the end of the process will you be paying for the service. It's $25 per card, simple as that, and the turnaround times have never been faster. We're hearing right now 13, 14, less than 20 business days. So there it is, 9170 Glades Road, number 135 is the P.O. Box in Boca Raton, Florida, 33434. 9170 Glades Road, number 135, Boca Raton, Florida, 33434. Of course, you could shoot me an email or shoot me a text anytime, and I'm always available. Many of you already have my email. It's iamandrewgoldberg@gmail.com, or my cell phone number, 215-519-9154. Reach out with any questions. I could walk you through the process. I've hopped on the call with quite a few of you, and I'm happy to do that. Love you, Luca Nation.